Okay. All right. Not sure what happened there. Let me go ahead and share screen again. I had started this meeting, and I think somehow when I was switching the uh, toggling between windows, I somehow restarted the Zoom, and so I don't think it kept going the first time around. So, because I lost my ID up here, so we will start this again. This is week number 2. I have graded everything that came in on time for week number 1. I was saying to you guys that, what seems to happen is when we start a new month, the time seems to get away from us. And at the end of this week, we start a new month. And then this class ends on May 22nd. So May 22nd is not that far away. It's right before Memorial Day. And this is a time when a lot of kids are getting out of school and a lot of colleges are ending for the summer. And so lots of stuff going on. And as I said when I first tried to start our chat this evening, was that I wanted to make sure that we get this chat in because we're expecting some severe weather through part of the Midwest this evening and tomorrow and maybe on Thursday and Wednesday. And so I want to make sure that we were able to go ahead and get our meeting done. Again, this is week number 2 for management theories. So I want to come on down and take a look at what you've got going on for this week. You've got some lessons. Make sure that you're checking these lessons out. You want to make sure that you are reading all of the information. And also, you should be doing independent research on your own out over the internet. So make sure that you are doing that, especially when you're getting ready to write papers. Your papers need to have a source in addition to your textbook. Lots of people like to use the textbook as a source of information for papers, and that's okay. But we are encouraging you to go out and do other research as well. So make sure that you are doing additional research. Also, though, I think the right place to start is with these lessons, with these PDFs, and check them out. You've got 2 discussion boards, a quiz, and an assignment, and the live session, which we're doing right now. Don't forget to go in and do the summary. If you come in and listen to the archived version of the live meeting, make sure you go in and do the summary so you can earn those points as well. Every point counts. And as we get further and further into the term, you will realize that. I know you do from your other classes, but this is a reminder that every point counts. Okay, so let's take a look. We have a Wednesday post discussion that you should be working on. How are group norms established, and why are there sometimes a conflict with the norms of, why are they in conflict with the norms of the organization as a whole? So, how are groups formed? How are the norms, the things that usually take place in groups, how are those things formed? And why is it that sometimes small groups have their norms and their way of doing things in conflict with the norms of the organization as a whole? There is some research out there. If you go out and look it up, it is forming, storming, norming, and performing. Forming, storming, norming, and performing. Those are 4 areas that, or 4, pieces of the puzzle when it comes to groups. They say that groups go through a forming stage where, everyone's finding out who the group is. The storming phase, where all the personalities are coming out and people are trying to figure out the pecking order and who's who in the group. The norming phase, where people have gotten to know each other. They know what the group is about. They kind of sort of get it now, so to speak. And they have gotten into a phase where they can actually normalize things and start working together. And then the performing. So forming, norming, storming, and performing. If you go out and take a look at those, I think it will make sense when you look at that and think about the groups that you have been a part of before. And what you find is groups seem to go through that process, and it doesn't make a difference if it is a church group, a group of students, a group of employees. All groups seem to follow that pattern. So I would have I would tell you it would be worth your time to go out and take a look at that research. The other thing that this asks you to talk about is, why are the norms of a small group sometimes in conflict with the norms of the organization as a whole? Sometimes, depending on who the group is. I mean, if the group is a project, the project people may get so into their project that they can only see what should be done for them and their project, and they don't necessarily realize that maybe some of the stuff that they're doing is not part of the big picture or doesn't really align with the overall organization's objectives. If this is a subversive group, if it's a group of people who are unhappy with their jobs, then what you might have is you might have a group that is kind of undermining the norms of the organization. It may be a group that just wants to change some things in the company, and it's not so much that they're looking to be subversive, but that they are looking to effectuate good change. And so they're kind of bucking the system, so to speak. So those are some ideas for you for your first discussion board of the week. Then for Friday, your discussion board says, discuss what's meant by the contingency approach to management. If you think about what the word contingency means, sometimes before you even do some research, you can start to kind of figure out what is going on. And let me show you just how quickly you can do this. If you put in contingency approach to management, there you go, from Wikipedia, which is not a credible source of information for academic work. Although it's not to say that all of Wikipedia is bad, it's just it's not peer reviewed. So I would go down here to one of these examples. Here is an example about the contingency approach to management. And this actually is from study.com. And this gives you an actual video that you can watch. So if you wanted to go in and take a look at this, this is, let's see, just a few minutes long. And let me go ahead and I'm going to give you the link to this. I'm going to, I was going to put it in our chat. Let's see. Let me stop that actually. But if you can see what I did, I just went out. If you go to study.com and put in a contingency approach to management, it's going to give you some information. So basically what the contingency approach says, though, and I just wanted to show you how quickly you can find research on things when you're just out looking for it. The contingency approach, if you think about what is a contingency plan is a plan B, right? What happens if plan A doesn't work? Well, you better have a contingency plan. You better have a plan B. Contingency is the idea that it's not necessarily a one-size-fits-all in management, that managers really need to be able to assess the situation and take in a lot of information and process it and make an educated guess, so to speak, as to the best way to handle things. I always tell people, when you're looking at business processes, when you're looking at anything that is controlled by human beings, the system is going to be flawed in some way. I mean, there's just no such thing as human perfection. So having the ability to process information and look at a bunch of variables and then take your best educated guess as to the best approach. Because, here's the thing, you can go to school and you can study management and you can study all kinds of business theory. But at the end of the day, nobody is going to be able to teach you all of the different scenarios that you might see once you are out in the business world. If you own a business, if you manage a business, if you're a supervisor for a shift, it doesn't make a difference. You are going to have to learn, in some respects, to react on the fly to things that happen. You will use all of the knowledge that you've gained from all of your classes. And believe it or not, even though you will be faced with things that you never, ever could have imagined, your common sense, which is growing daily when you're in school, because a lot of the stuff that we are quote unquote teaching you is stuff that, at the end of the day, there's a common sense portion to it. And you will remember when the time comes all of the things that you have learned. You may not remember the exact definition of a concept, but you'll remember something from a class or something from a situation that you've seen that was similar, or about a case study that you read, or something that will kick in and your brain will say, okay, this is what you should do. So make sure that your initial post is at least 250 words, substantive in nature, and this is the type of thing that you would need to cite a source of research for. Citing sources of research should be done when you are talking about something that the average person walking down the street doesn't know. Now, if you're going to say the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, that is a piece of knowledge that most people have. You don't need to cite a source for that. However, if you're talking about things like management theories that you are just learning and the average person walking down the street has never heard of or wouldn't know much about or anything about, that's when you need to cite your sources of research so that somebody would know where this information came from. And then what you do is you take the research that you've done, put things into your own words, add your own spin onto it from maybe some experiences that you've had, things that you've read, supplemental research that you've done, and you post it. And then again, make sure that you have at least 2 comments to your classmates as well. All right, quiz again. Thank you for those of you who did your little summaries where I said to you in chat number 1 that one of the best things to do with the quizzes is wait until near the end of the week to take them. So that was a piece of advice that a lot of people seem to heed. And again, I would suggest that that's probably the best way to tackle them. Okay, last but not least, define what is meant by management. In your answer, you should list and describe the popular approaches to management developed throughout the 20th century and discuss the evolution of management theory. Are the different approaches complementary or in competition with one another? So are they complementary? Are they on the same page? Does one lead to another? Or are they in competition with each other? So again, if you come out here and we look here, a review of 20th century management theories. Here is a PowerPoint on changes in management theory during the 20th century. This is stuff that you can go out and find very easily on the internet. And here we go. We have the age class system. If you go in here and you can look at the slideshow and see what this source has to say. The age class system, man is a mechanism in the a cog in the wheel, so to speak. Taylorism, Gantt and Williams. Gantt charts, you may know what a Gantt chart is. They use them in Microsoft Project a lot. They're kind of like a timeline of how things are going to get done. Here is McGregor and theories X and Y. MBO, management by objective. TQM, total quality management. ISO. Okay, so there is just a quick example of some of the things that you can find when you go out and do, and I'm just doing really simple searches. You can see 20th century management theories. I didn't do anything more complicated than that. You have to watch out though when you're coming out here, like UK, that is England. AU is Australia. So you want to, you're going to want to stick with things that are American, or else you're going to be mixing and matching maybe some other countries' concepts of these theories. So it would probably be better for you to, keep just US, because that's what we're focusing on here. But here's another one, an overview of management theory. There's Frederick Taylor again. And if you come down, Hawthorne. So you can see that's twice. There's Max Weber, the bureaucracy theory. Henry Fayol, these are some of the big ones. So if you go out and you start doing a few different searches, you're going to see those names come up again and again and again. So when you see Taylor and you see Hawthorne and you see Fayol, you see those coming up over and over, and Max Weber, then that's a good clue to you that that would be some good ones to actually be taking a look at. Okay? All right. So that is 500 to 600 words. Make sure that you're meeting at least that deliverable. You don't want to be short on your word count, because if you're short on your word count, then you don't usually cover the topics in enough depth to earn full points. So that is basically what I wanted to talk to you guys about for this week in our quick little meeting. Next week, we're going on to week number 3 already. So again, if you owe me anything that needs to be taken care of, then as far as grading from week 1, I would suggest you work really hard in week 2 to get it in, so that you are not having to play catch up all term. The 5 weeks goes by so quickly that I don't want you to have to be at the end of week 5 going, oh gee, now I've got to go back and grab stuff from week 1 and 2 as well. Okay. All right. So make it a great week. I will see you in some of the discussions, and I'll see you next week for another quick live meeting. Take care. Bye-bye.